Hi guys, Ken Chigbo, aka KenFX Freak, back with another week roundup on behalf of the BluFX team. Now, before we get onto the charts, just a quick recap of last week. It was very much still about risk appetite. We've seen that for the past 3 weeks now, and without sounding like a broken record, but the number of fundamental reasons as to why we're seeing this hunger for risk by market players. One, a global decline in COVID-19 cases. Awesome. Two, economies are pretty much, very much back into play now after obviously all of those lockdowns that are going on. There's no sign of a second wave of the pandemic, which is great. And then also US and China concerns right now are very much minimized. Okay, they've been swept under the rug for the time being. And I think it's really key that we know, look, heading into the elections, November, for Trump, he does not want anything to happen to this phase one deal. It's in his best interest that he keeps that very much in play, heading into those November elections tactically for him if he wants to stand a good chance of re-election. Now, let's just take a look at the charts here. Obviously, as I've explained, just with that theme that we've seen over the last 3 weeks, we've seen that decline in the dollar for those past 3 weeks, edging to the downside, and still like to see some further risk appetite this week. I see no potential reason as to why we shouldn't on a fundamental basis, and one real thing to note as well, last week is further confidence from the markets with the ECB acting, another big central bank acting, injecting all that stimulus that's very much needed in these sensitive times. So still like to see some downside for the dollar. At the moment, we're consolidating at the early part of this week, subject to another breakout potentially to the downside. Euro dollar had marked up, obviously if you look on a weekly, been extending to the upside consecutively for the past 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, receiving a big boost, I must say, the past couple of weeks. One, down to this potential big fiscal stimulus package from the EU, okay, from the EU in terms of these grants, etc. And then two, this ECB stimulus as well is great for euro. So I'd like to see this wick filled on a weekly there, pressing up to sort of 114, even potentially 115 territory. We've got this long running ascending trend line, we'll say long running since the 25th of May, has been supporting the price, taking another bounce there in early trading this morning. Obviously in recent weeks as well, with that risk appetite in the market, we've seen gold cooling, okay, edging to the downside there. And I actually had a potential, this head and shoulders play. Here's your left shoulder, here's your head, here's your right shoulder, breakout of the neckline, retest, bit of a fake out there, some stop hunting potentially from an institutional perspective, but still looking for some further potential downside this week, again, given that tone that we're seeing in the market. GBP within recent weeks catching a bid as well, largely benefiting from the risk appetite. There's one thing this morning just to note, two things actually. One, Brexit concerns are, I think in terms of that the UK are not going to accept an extension is priced in. And so there's still optimism that a deal can be done from Britain. So that will likely continue to see GBP pushing to the upside with that psychological 130 mark really much in sight. I mean, if we go back and look, in October, similar sort of price action. I'll show you, it's very clear on a weekly. Similar sort of price action, if you look back here in sort of September, October, where we had a nice strong bullish week, just like last week there, and then an extension to the upside to 130. But there is also a technical possibility that we pull back a little bit before extending to the upside. But obviously, at the end of the day, we trade what we see, not what we think. And at the moment, we're just consolidating, subject to further breakout to the upside. Similar things being seen with GJ there. Bit of early consolidation at the start of this week, subject to breaking out further to the upside. AUD has largely benefited, been a massive beneficiary of this risk appetite in the markets. One real key thing that I must note for both Australia, okay, with this further potential upside, we've got this flag here and this pennant that we broke out of. Same with Kiwi. Now, what I was going to note, with Australia and New Zealand, they have done so well in terms of bouncing back as economies. They did very well, actually, at containing coronavirus. So I think they've got an edge over some of their peers. So I'd like to still see them extending to the upside. CAD should benefit really from this OPEC agreement, agreeing to extend those production cuts. Great. It's bullish for oil. As you can see, oil's in the green today. Like to see dollar CAD still pushing to the downside. As it consolidates within this pennant structure. But yeah, just saying with oil markets are in the green. You can see over the last sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, going on six weeks or so there. pushing to the upside aggressively with economies returning back. There's growing demand again for fuel, for oil. Keep an eye on this big zone here. You can see prior acting sort of support around this sort of 42.50 to 47 area. So there's a lot of things to talk about right now in terms of themes. Other than that, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Do not hesitate to check out what BluFX has to offer in terms of their solution. It's great if you want to continue to nurture and polish yourself as a, an all-rounded trader. Discipline's key within trading. This is something that I'm sure you will develop at BluFX. And also do not hesitate to check out myself, KenFX Free, across all social media channels. Stay lit, baby. Let's get it.